Every week, 10 Tampa Bay digs through missing persons cases and speaks to families desperate for answers. They're asking for one simple thing from us: to help search and share their stories. You're watching 10 Tampa Bay special, The Missing, where you will be able to hear directly from witnesses, investigators, and those who just want their loved ones back home. We start with this cold case dating all the way back to 1982. It is a mystery that has haunted this family for 40 years. Retha Hires ran out for groceries, never making it home. Her daughter pleading for closure.
None of it adds up, does it? That's why I say it's a mystery.
This wife and mother of 6 went out to buy laundry detergent and never returned to her Largo home. Now, nearly 40 years later, Retha Hires' daughter, Dana Hires, remembers it like it was yesterday.
I was home that day. I can remember her standing at the door, waving goodbye. And, you know, that was my last time seeing her, and I was 14 years old.
Hires' car was found 4 months later in Clearwater. Investigators say she had an affair with Cleveland Hill Jr., an asphalt contractor and one-time minister. Detectives say 2 other women he dated also disappeared. Margaret Dash disappeared in 1974, Hires in 1982, and Danielle Johnson vanished in '89. Hill was never charged with a crime in the disappearances of these 3 women. 10 Tampa Bay followed this case and reported that in 1968, Hill shot his wife and mother-in-law and served time for those crimes. He was later sentenced to drug trafficking in 1992, then was released from prison in 2008, and later died in Virginia.
I need closure. You know, the families, 3 families need closure. I mean, it's been too long. Someone in the community knows. Give us closure. That's all we want is closure. That's it. I want to put her to rest if she needs to be put to rest. Let me put my mom to rest.
Back in July, Pinellas County deputies got word of possible human remains buried at a Largo construction site that once belonged to Cleveland Hill Jr. However, an excavation right here behind me did not turn up any new evidence. Dana telling me this allowed the family to make the incredibly difficult decision to stop searching for her.
I'm done. You know, it's taking so much from me. It's draining me, draining the family. She's not there, so wherever she is, you know, I just pray she's at peace. May she rest in peace, because now I need peace.
Retha is not the only mother whose family is devastated. Veronica Reyes-Diaz disappeared in 2020 without a trace after tucking her boys into bed for the night. They were just 1, 4, and 5 years old. All they want to know is when mommy is coming home.
Because there's not a minute, a second, a day goes by. I just want to hold my daughter and not let her go. It's not fair. Why can't they find her?
Tina Cortez says it's been 18 months of hell not knowing what happened to her daughter. 23-year-old Veronica Reyes-Diaz tucked her very small boys into bed, then vanished. Her father, Fidencio Minjares, has never given up looking for her.
We were told she took off, and that's impossible. Every chance she got, she was here. She was involved. You know, she didn't take off.
Veronica wouldn't do this. She wouldn't. She loves her babies, and I just want her home, or at least be able to get answers for her kids. If she's not alive, at least be able to lay her to rest. Those babies deserve it, and she deserves it.
Detectives with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office say it simply doesn't add up. Veronica went out to a restaurant that night with friends. Her sister, Victoria, watched the 2 older boys. Her infant son stayed home with his dad here in Dover.
She takes both the children inside, tucks them into bed. Everything seems fine. Her husband's asleep in his room with the other child, and the 2 children have been interviewed, and they say they hear mommy go back outside. After that, that's it. Veronica's never seen or heard from that we know of that we can verify again.
That was around 1 a.m. back in January of 2020. They say Veronica left behind her SUV with her keys, purse, wallet, and cash inside. The sheriff's office put out this podcast hoping to get some answers by telling her story. Veronica's husband told detectives he was asleep and doesn't know what happened. He is not a suspect.
And that's the thing, we really don't know what happened between that 1:10 and that 6 a.m. Or 6:30 time frame. He wakes up in the morning, he realizes that their family car's there, but he doesn't see Veronica. Realizes that that's a little weird. Not weird so much that she's not there, but if she wasn't there, he wouldn't expect to see the car there. Maybe she stayed out with friends or something else like that, but that wasn't the case.
And you have a lot of ponds, little lakes, and we searched around.
Days later, Veronica's parents, along with more than 100 volunteers, searched the woods near her mobile home park. But nothing. Not a trace of Veronica. No answers for her boys.
Can Grandma help you? No, Grandma happy. Me kiss. Go over there, Grandpa. They want their mommy. We don't know what to tell them except hopefully soon. She wouldn't do this to her kids.
It's hard. Very hard. I miss her every day.
You have no answers.
None. That's the hardest part. I don't know if I want to give up or just keep going. It's been a year.
It's sad but true, but I mean, life has to continue, life has to go on. But I mean, it's always in my mind, where's she at, what happened to her? I'm to the point where I just want closure, I want something.
A neighbor's surveillance camera caught Veronica going back to her mobile home with her boys that night, but not leaving their home again. Veronica's father told me that he managed to trace her cell phone using her laptop. It pinged in this area throughout the weekend, but by Monday, it was shut off with no calls or messages going through. If you know anything about what happened to Veronica, call the sheriff's office. Across the bay from Hillsborough County, the disappearance of a father in St. Petersburg, also last seen on surveillance video. With 3 kids, Joe Hannigan's family says he easily makes friends just about anywhere he goes, but he still has his bouts with mental health.
He had been struggling with some depression and PTSD from several tragic deaths recently.
The last time Carrie and Kelly Hannigan saw their dad was on a doorbell camera on March 6th. Joe Hannigan left his home near 49th Street and 5th Avenue South in St. Pete around 7:30 that night. He left his phone, wallet, and car, only taking a small backpack with him.
It's confusing. All of us are confused. There's just a lot going on. We've, been doing everything we can, but we don't have many answers yet. So it's been stressful, and of course, we miss our dad.
Joe was last seen wearing a long-sleeve gray shirt, gray shorts, and lightweight sneakers. He was carrying a small navy blue and brown backpack with tan straps. His family's asking people to be on the lookout and check your cameras. Anything to get him home.
We all just think about how he's possibly feeling right now, and that we just wish that we knew where he was, or if we could reach him, or at least comfort him, to remind him how much everyone loves him.
Now over to Pasco County, where Ashley Malden disappeared while scuba diving 14 miles off the Florida coast. Her family and friends have held vigils over the years, looking for comfort in this tragedy and hoping to find out what happened to her. This cold case takes us from the Gulf Coast to halfway across the country in search of answers.
Somebody knows something out there, because nothing adds up. It's all just, it doesn't add up. And anyone that hears the story says the same thing.
July 11th, 2006, the U.S. Coast Guard is called to find a missing diver. Investigators are told 28-year-old Ashley Malden was diving 14 miles off the Florida coast with her husband and some friends. Crews searched 1,600 square miles for days, but turned up nothing. Investigators say the water was 28 feet deep and calm that day near Hudson Beach. Not a trace of her or her diving gear has ever been found.
Totally out of character for her. Not what she would do. She was more inclined to read and listen to music, and she did outdoors, but she was not a risk taker. So for her to have been reported scuba diving on a day that she was supposed to work and have a big presentation, she would not have done that. That's really out of character.
Ashley's mother, Charlotte Callis, says her daughter was not certified, and the day she disappeared was her very first time diving in open waters. Callis says Ashley was very accomplished, graduating at the top of her high school class and continuing a high level of academic achievement in college.
I just couldn't have been more proud of the person that she was.
Now, going on 16 years of searching, her mother continues to fight for answers.
It's possible she's alive. If she is, she needs me now more than ever. It's tough, even after 15 years. The not knowing, I constantly have to remind myself that God has his arms around her and that she is protected by him. And I know that even if she's still on this earth, which is unlikely, I understand that.
There were no state or federal laws regulating who could and could not go diving, but the industry itself has long followed a strict set of standards to help prevent deaths, like not renting or selling air tanks to divers unless they are certified. This case is one of many that remains unsolved to this day. Still ahead, Florida's longest Amber Alert in a story that captured the nation, how 8-year-old Zachary vanished from his mom's bed when she went out for a walk. Plus,
people have called me murderer, baby killer, and I have kids,
A mother accused in her baby's disappearance. Next on The Missing, what happened to 11-month-old Tanaya? As parents, we live and breathe for our children. Keeping them safe is an inherent goal, which is why many are still struggling with the loss of these people on your screen. But you're not looking at the age when they disappeared. This is actually how old they're now expected to look like, courtesy of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Here's how old they actually were when they went missing. Families are still holding on to hope for the day that they can be reunited with their bright faces. Many have already lost the chance to see those exciting milestones, from riding a bike for the first time to getting behind the wheel of a car. But with your help, loved ones could see them go to prom, graduating from college, signing a mortgage, or even getting married. Her disappearance shocked this Polk County community. Tanaya Leonard hadn't even celebrated her first birthday with her family here in Bartow. She would have turned 21 years old. Now, decades later, her mother tells me she will not give up looking for her. There are so many questions about what happened to 11-month-old Tanaya Leonard. The infant was last seen on October 19, 2002 in Bartow. Her mother and father have long held that they don't know what happened.
People have called me murderer, baby killer, and I have kids, that, I promise that we're gonna find Tanaya.
Miranda Jones is Tanaya's mother and says she had nothing to do with her disappearance. Jones says she dropped off Tanaya at the infant's father's place. She hasn't seen her since. Tanaya's father has long maintained his innocence. He couldn't be reached for comment. Neither parent has been charged with a crime connected to Tanaya's disappearance.
It's very hard. Just imagine your heart being in the pieces, and you don't know if they're gonna call you and say, oh, we found your baby bones or something, that's horrible. Nobody should have to go through that.
Jones tells me she believes her daughter is alive and that she will one day be reunited with her family.
The time is now. She's an adult now. She's 20 years old today. Give me and my family, some type of closure, something. Begging anyone that knows anything. I have little kids that are waiting to meet their sister or know something, my babies, I've promised them, and as a mother, I'm going to make sure that, I give them what I promised, and that's to find their sister.
3 years after Tanaya's disappearance, state prosecutors offered her parents an unusual deal: immunity, essentially saying if they bring her back alive, all would be forgiven. That didn't happen because they said they're innocent. There were more than 500,000 missing people across the country last year, their families pleading with the public to help bring them home. Zachary Bernhard was 8 years old when he disappeared from his Clearwater home. Now, more than 20 years later, his family refuses to give up hope, saying he could still be found.
Never forget and know that he still could be out there and show up tomorrow. But if he shows up tomorrow, that could also be good or bad. We have to be prepared for both.
Zachary Bernhard's family has never given up looking for him. From putting up flyers to appearing on just about every local and national news show, hoping each painful time they tell his story, it'll lead to a tip that cracks this case.
I mean, if you stop and think about it, how do we wrap our head around it? We don't either. The biggest thing is to, just keep him alive within our family, with other people, get his picture out there as much as we can.
8-year-old Zach vanished from his Clearwater home on September 11th, 2000. His grandmother and aunt say his single mother normally worked a night shift, but was off that night.
From what I hear, it's a perfectly normal night. She left to take down her trash, and she did her cleaning of her house and went for a walk and came back to the apartment, and my nephew was gone about 4 o'clock in the morning. So when she noticed.
Yeah, she called screeching and screaming, hysterical. Billy Joe had the phone. She kept saying, try and be calm. He's probably hiding from you,
But he wasn't. Cadaver dogs, helicopters, and hundreds of people combed through the woods around his home. Over the last 2 decades, Clearwater police have pored over countless pieces of evidence and followed up on hundreds of leads. His family even pulling in psychics to help, but no trace of Zachary.
It's 20 years, and there's been a lot of cases that have been solved after 20 years, and his could be one too.
Zachary would now be 30 years old, making his case the longest running Amber Alert in Florida. His Aunt Billy Jo keeps Zach's favorite things as a boy very close. Memories of an inquisitive little boy who loved going to the beach, cooking, and Christmas.
Just keep on looking for him. He's still out there. It's a lot of times people think that he was found, but he's not found. He's still out there. Keep our family in your prayers. We need that. Yeah. We need that more than anything.
Just 2 weeks after 2-year-old Trenton Duckett disappeared, his mother took her own life, overwhelmed by the grief. His father moved here to the Tampa Bay area and for the last 15 years has fought each and every day to find his son, even speaking on Dr. Phil to get answers about what happened to Trenton. But so far, nothing has turned up. He would now be 18 years old. His disappearance captured the nation. 2-year-old Trenton Duckett vanished from his Leesburg home in 2006. His mother said she put him to bed, and when she checked on him a few hours later, he was gone. A screen on his bedroom window was cut.
Police, she says that somebody came through his bedroom window and took him. With that, there was a lot of suspicion going into that.
His father, Josh Duckett, was in the middle of a divorce with Melinda Duckett. He no longer lived with them. Investigators searched for Trenton on land and by water in Lake County. Family members appeared on local and national news shows begging for the public's help. Weeks after Trenton disappeared, his 21-year-old mother, Melinda, killed herself. The family sued talk show host Nancy Grace, blaming her for the young mother's death. Court records show a settlement for $200,000 from Grace is dedicated to finding Trenton.
And so I turned 21 in May, and it was like just chaos from then on. So it kind of makes you grow up fast.
Josh has spent the last 15 years searching for his son, showing age progression images, and each year holding a vigil on the anniversary of his disappearance. Over the years, there have been many theories followed by many dead ends, but he refuses to give up hope.
I mean, we see all the time cases where people are missing 20, 25 years, and then boom, they pop up because of something. It's very, very possible. But then we're also prepared for the worst case scenario.
Leesburg police says it's still investigating the case. Josh tells me he wants fresh eyes on this case from an outside agency or private investigator. Now to a cold case from the 80s for this missing child who would now be about 47 years old. They called her Dynamite because she had so much energy and could light up a room. Jennifer Montelis loved cheerleading, swimming, and playing with her friends, but all of that changed on her way home from school when she went missing. Her family still haunted each day that passes.
I just feel like a failed mother because I couldn't find her. It's going on 40 years. 40 years. It's a long time.
For nearly 4 agonizing decades, Catherine Longo has searched for her daughter Jennifer, doing everything in her power to get her home. 7-year-old Jennifer Montelis vanished on her way home from Shaw Elementary School in Tampa on November 15th, 1982.
She was beautiful. Long black hair. Then she was so tiny. She was like, you know, in the classroom, how your children are like, they have older kids, but she was the tiniest in the class. And she was so smart. They wanted to promote her to a higher grade because she was so smart. And I didn't want her to. I wanted her to be with her friends. And the day after she was taken, I went to her school, and this little boy comes up to me and he's hitting me and he's saying, "Where's Jennifer? Where's Jennifer?" And I said, "We're looking for her, honey. We're looking for her."
There was a massive search, scouring the Sulphur Springs neighborhood on the ground and in the air. More than 1,000 neighbors showed up to help look for her. Despite that extensive effort, there was no sign of Jennifer.
There has to be. There has to be somebody that knows something.
Age progression images have been put out to the public over the years, tips even leading investigators as far as Pennsylvania to search for possible remains, but nothing was found.
So I keep this teddy bear with me all the time.
Her mother clutches to this teddy bear, her daughter's favorite toy, as she waits for the day that Jennifer comes home.
I believe she's still out there. I just need her to come home. My arms are waiting for her. I imagine that she's married and has children, and we're gonna have a whole nother extension to our beautiful family.
We've been sharing stories of the missing for more than a year now. We have all of them on our 10 Tampa Bay YouTube page. Just take out your phone or your tablet and point the camera at that QR code on your screen. Stick around, we'll show you how you can get involved in a community searching for answers. There are so many people in our area and across the country who are desperately searching for their loved ones. From parents to children, they all have one thing in common. Their family just wants them back home. Our mission at 10 Tampa Bay is to capture and share more of these stories with you so that they can one day find closure. We took you around parts of the Tampa Bay area to highlight some of them, but there are so many more we have previously shared on air and online. You can watch those on our 10 Tampa Bay YouTube page. Or you can download the 10 Tampa Bay Plus streaming app on your Roku or Fire TV. There, you can watch the Missing series on demand, catch our live shows, or look back at our previous newscasts. You can also check out this Facebook group that we have just made completely dedicated to finding the missing. To get there, just take out your phone or your tablet and point its camera at that QR code. No need to take a picture. A notification will pop up at the top of your screen. Each week, we feature a missing person because police say the key to getting them back home is to keep showing their photos, details in the case, and sharing that with your friends and family. Again, we have multiple resources for you to interact with dozens of unsolved cases. I'm Carolina Lead, and this has been The Missing, a 10 Tampa Bay special.